Welcome to another episode of Coffee with the County. Today I am sitting with Kathleen Ryan, who is our Chief Financial Officer in the Auditor's Department. Kathleen, that sounds really fancy.
It's not as fancy as it sounds, but it's pretty cool.
Well, that's good. Thank you for coming in today. Appreciate you being here and talking to us about all things Auditor's Office. But first I want to start with Kathleen Ryan. How did you get to Aiken County? Have you always lived in Aiken County, and what brought you here? Tell us your story, Kathleen.
I have not always lived in Aiken County, but I've always lived close to Aiken County. I actually grew up on the County Line Road just north of Hill City. So I lived probably however wide a road is away from Aiken County for the majority of my life.
Nice.
My husband is from Aiken. He was born in Aiken and has lived in Aiken all his life. So when I met him, I moved down here to be with him.
Were you a Hill City Hornet?
I was not a Hill City Hornet. I was a Grand Rapids Indian.
What?
I lived in Itasca County, and at that time we didn't have open enrollment, so I got to ride a hour bus instead of going 3 miles into Hill City.
So now you are with us here in Aiken County. We're all excited that
Yes.
you're part of our staff and organization. And what did you do prior to this? How long have you been Chief Financial Officer of Aiken County?
I became Chief Financial Officer in September of 2019. Before that, I was the City of Aiken Administrator from September of 2017 to September of 19.
Nice.
When this opportunity opened up. Before that, I was Fiscal Supervisor over in Aiken County Health and Human Services. I started there in 2000. Before that, I was in the Auditor's Office for about 9 months. Before that, I was in the Recorder's Office for about 2 years. And before that, I was in the License Center for about a month.
So you've got vast experience with county government, city government, and auditing, accounting.
Yes.
All of those things that make us run, which is something that the auditor's office does, right? Makes everything run, make sure we're doing it correctly. But I'm not an expert, so I'll ask you, what does the auditor's office do for the listeners that are out there that may not know what it is that the auditor is in charge of, responsible for?
True. The Auditor's Office is kind of a central hub in many applications of the county. Start with, property taxes, the calculation of property taxes, preparation. We used to prepare the budget solely. With the change to a county administrator, that responsibility shifted, but we do partner with the county administrator in preparing the budget. That levy number does go into our property tax calculations, so it still comes back down to us. Technically, the land department is a deputy auditor position.
Oh, wow, I did not know that.
So, like tax forfeitures and land sales and such, handled by the land department and the land commissioner, but is a subdivision of the auditor's office. We do handle all the publications for when property is delinquent, when we do forfeitures, when property is getting close to forfeiting. We do the publications to notify individuals that their property is in that classification. Beyond property taxes, we also manage all the county's accounting systems, so the county's overall general ledger system, payments, receipting, making sure that our accounts are balancing with the actual cash and investments that the treasurer's office is managing on their side. My staff, I have one staff person in particular that manages all the payments, so she's processing payment batches almost on a weekly basis. So that's any department will submit an invoice and it will go through the department head for approval, and then it will come to my office for final approval and review and making sure that it fits in audit standards and is an appropriate payment for the county to make.
So you are the person that takes care of everything. I know you work hand in hand with Kirk, who is currently our auditor. I know he is retiring here at the end of the year, but you work hand in hand with him. And tell me a little bit about the staff of the auditor's office. I'm always amazed when I talk to the departments that we have such a huge county. We have, 16,000 people, but it's a great, vast land. and there's only a few people doing each one of the roles inside our government. So tell me about your staff and the auditor's office.
So directly in the auditor's office, we have 2 staff plus myself and the auditor doing direct.
So 4 people to take care of all of the things that you just said.
Yes, we do have 2 what we call floaters in our office area on the first floor of the government center. Those 2 floaters are assigned to the auditor's office. I supervise them. They are technically an auditor office staff, fall under my supervision, but they provide services to the assessor, the treasurer, and the recorder in addition to the auditor's office. So we get a little bit additional support from them. Mm-hmm. But our main office duties are handled by 3 staff, which includes me and then our auditor.
It's awesome that that many, and then the floaters, again, responsible management of government, of making sure that we have people that can work in all different areas, and no overpriced government here, is there? We make sure that we take care of that.
Yes. Yeah, very efficient. And we do have the 2 floaters because now on the first floor of the government center, like I said, we're 4 departments in one. So the floaters are trained to answer the phones and the counter for initial customer questions. So if they're basic questions, they can answer the question, not have to shuffle customers around. Otherwise, they know which department to go to for an answer.
All in an effort to make sure that we're reaching out to the public and helping wherever we can, being supportive. I know firsthand, I've worked with you the past couple of years on a few grants and things like that, and you by all means keep things in line and make sure that people like me stay in the right boundaries and things like that when it comes to that. So huge compliments to you and your staff and all the work that's done. One thing that did come up in my head, I'm not sure if you mentioned the license center. Do you also oversee the license center in the auditor's office?
Yep, the license center is a department of the auditor's office. I supervise the license center staff. We currently have 4 staff, which is 2 full-time and 2 part-time. So they are a division of the auditor's office. They handle all motor vehicle licensing, titling. They also handle DNR licensing, titling, and then IDs, so driver's licenses, which include enhanced and real IDs.
That's crazy. All that stuff comes out of one different department in one area.
So not part of the license center, but part of the auditor's office is licensing also. We handle all the licensing for liquor licensing, 3-2 licensing, tobacco licensing, handle if you have a large assembly that comes through the auditor's office, many of those licensing tasks.
So anything you need a license for, like maybe upcoming cannabis retail is something that'll come into the auditor's office, I'm
Correct.
assuming?
Yep, we'll be partnering with the Planning and Zoning Environmental Services Department to work on the cannabis and the registration for cannabis locations.
Yeah, I know some of the latest reports that I've heard, they were going to put it out January 1, and it sounds like it's going to be a little bit later than that as Office of Cannabis continues to figure out their working, and once that's done, we'll figure out our end, and it should all be fine.
Move forward, yep. And so with that, it's kind of nice, the county commissioners, the county board made the decision to allow 2 locations within the county. Mm-hmm. So if a city or a township municipality does not have their own ordinance, it's going to fall under the county's cannabis ordinance, which means as a county we'll be probably starting with 2 locations, which is kind of nice when we're coming into a new
So when you talk about liquor and tobacco licensing, do you license for county and city businesses? Is the city do their own? How does that all work in your world?
For liquor, we deal with just county, so cities license their own liquor establishments.
Okay.
For tobacco, that varies. It depends on the city.
The city ordinance.
Right. So currently we only have the city of Aiken and the city of McGregor that handle their own tobacco ordinances. The county does all the tobacco licensing for all other locations.
Lots of stuff. So if I'm a listener and I'm a resident, give me a couple things that you think the auditor's office wants the public to know.
Well, that's a tough question. Other areas, elections, right? So if you have any, that's one of our main duties, responsibilities also is election administration within the County of Aiken. So if a citizen has any question related to elections or concerns about their local municipality and elections within their municipality, they would start with the county auditor's office. Property tax, like I say, we handle the calculation of the taxes, but we do not handle the assessing of the properties. That's one of the pieces of the formula that goes into your overall, what we say, tax bill, right? So we do get a lot of phone calls, and most of it is based on property valuation. And that we do have to transfer over to the assessor's office because we don't handle the evaluation piece.
Yeah.
We take the evaluation piece from the assessor's office and we use that when we're calculating taxes. We use the evaluation of the property, we use the levy amount set by the commissioners, and we put that into our formula and the calculation. So our department's responsible for calculating what that actual tax bill is, but we're not doing all those pieces.
Yeah, we had Mike and his team in not that long ago and taught us all about the assessor valuation, I should say, not evaluation, but how they value properties and how that all goes into the formula and then it goes to the auditor. And it's really cool to see how things work behind the scenes inside, the county government itself and how everybody has to work together to make that easiest and best for our residents and citizens. Elections is something that just recently happened, right?
Correct.
And I heard a bunch of things and don't know if it's fact or not. Was there a number of, is it mail-in votes that were put in there, or you could register, let me say it this way, you could vote early. Is that correct?
You could vote early. So in Aiken County, we have a couple different pieces that are happening at the same time.
Sure.
One is we have 51 what we call precincts, voting precincts within the county. Most of those are individual townships or an individual city. Of those 51 precincts, we have only 19 that are what we call election day precincts, which means if you live in one of those precincts, you would go to your voting location on election day and vote. Of that balance, our majority are mail ballot. So we are mailing out ballots. That starts 47 days before the election. So if you're in a mail ballot precinct, you are receiving your ballot in the mail. Shortly around 47 days before the election, give or take. You can submit that ballot to us anytime after you receive it.
Okay, so you grab that ballot, bring it in, and then you could do that before the November 5th time frame, I think it was, for this
November
one.
5th was the election. So mail ballot precincts do not have an election day voting location. They either do their mail ballot, or if they want to, they can bring it into us at the auditor's office or come to our counter to vote, but they do not go to their precinct location to vote on election day.
Got it.
Election day precincts can vote on election day, but they can also vote absentee. So that's voting early also. A new law came into place where you can be a permanent absentee voter now, so you can sign up. It used to be that if you wanted to vote absentee all the time, you'd be on a list and we would send you an application, you would return the absentee application to us, and then we'd issue you a ballot. Now, if you want to be a permanent absentee, you declare that you want to be a permanent absentee voter, and when that 47-day window opens up before the election, you automatically receive a ballot in the mail also, just like the mail ballot precincts, and kind of the same processes follow through with that. So at the beginning of the election, November 5th, we had 11,800 voters. By election day, we had about 7,500 ballots that were either issued by mail ballot or by absentee.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So we have a high percentage, and they actually have a high percentage of return in voting. So out of our mail ballot precincts, absentee voters, we're usually in the 85 to 90% voting.
Yeah, very good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Isn't Minnesota one of the highest in the country for
We
for
have been.
voting.
We haven't been the highest for the last couple elections, but we're like number 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It is.
When the time comes about, I'd love to have you come back in and sit down and teach us more about the elections as the whenever the next one is. We could schedule a podcast to sit down and do that.
That would be wonderful. Yep.
I like it. Well, Kathleen, thank you for coming in today and
Thank
talking
you for having
through.
me.
Oh, absolutely. And anytime, please come back and we'll talk more auditor stuff, or if there's things that you want the public to know, please come on back and we'll have more conversation.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
All right, Kathleen Ryan, everyone, our Chief Financial Officer for Aitkin County, and you are listening to Coffee with the County.